What in was this? Somebody needs somebody. Literally ridiculous. All right, so we know that this game didn't go the way that we wanted it to, especially the first half. But you didn't think, before the season started, you weren't sure if you were going to get an opportunity to go to a game this year.
Right.
You got to go to the game. Let's have some positive vibes at the beginning of this video. How was the game? How was being at the game?
Positive.
We know the game was bad.
All right, positive vibes for this video. It was a great time. It was awesome being back at Nissan Stadium, going around, just feeling the energy that everyone had before game time. Actually got to CBS, where the game was on.
Right.
Camera guy come up to me, friend of the show, Luke Jerkins, and was like, hey, I got some Browns fans over here. We're wanting to video y'all walking up to the stadium, and that's going to be like the opening to the game coming on, y'all walking into the stadium, y'all being a part of it. So, he had us kind of mismatched with the Browns fans. We were walking up, just having casual conversation. So that was an awesome experience, getting to do that.
That's pretty cool.
And so, yeah, and just being there. It was my wife's first ever NFL game. If you've watched the videos before, you know that she is a huge Patriots fan.
And now, partly Titans fan.
Yeah, as long as they're not playing the Patriots, she's for the Titans. And so it was awesome just being able to take her there. And, I thought the first game that she ever went to would have to be a Patriots game versus the Titans. But she was all for going to this game, so it was just awesome getting to see that experience. Wish we would have got the win.
Almost made a comeback. I know the score makes it look a little closer than what it was, but they fought back pretty hard into the game.
They did.
So, obviously, to start out the game, held the Browns to a field goal, and I was like, okay, this is probably going to go pretty well. Titans are going to, offense is very strong, has been playing well. The Titans are going to come out, they're going to score, and we're going to be rolling.
I want to touch on this right quick. Watching that first drive, though, you could almost predict things that were to come in this game, because I believe that Baker Mayfield, some of the passes that he hit, one of them to Higgins, that was a 35-yard gain.
Yeah.
He found a big hole in the middle of our zone defense, and he was gone.
Well, and one thing that you can't do is make Baker Mayfield look like he's good.
And they definitely made him look like he was good in the first half.
4 touchdowns in the first half. It's disappointing.
It is.
But, I guess they had to drop one eventually. I thought that this was the time they were getting hot, and it wasn't.
Well, they just done several things that caused them to shoot themselves in the foot.
I was about to say, they just continued to shoot themselves in the foot again and again and again.
Like you meant, first drive we held them to a field goal, but then where we've been so good here recently, coming out, going down, scoring on our first drive, we had 6 plays. And
it was setting up to be a pretty good drive, actually.
And it was. And I have to say, the spot that they gave Henry on that 4th and 1 was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Watching the game, you see he made it to right where the first down was. Actually, had probably about a half yard more than what the first down line was. And they didn't give him that spot. It was...
Well, and at that point, when they go back and watch it, there has to be indisputable evidence, and it was so close at that point that you couldn't change it. And so
you're right.
That original spot just screwed him over, basically.
But me and Luke were talking about it. It was funny. They put, whenever you're looking at the field, say this is the 41-yard line. They put the ball right here on this side of it when they were measuring.
Right.
When the Browns took over, instead of leaving the ball right there, since it was at the 41, they flipped it around to the other side. I don't really know. Obviously I'm not an official or anything like that. Never played in the NFL, so I don't know if that's just what they do since it's at the 41. It was just like, you're like, really? Like,
so you're going to spot him short, but when they start, you're going to put it on the other side.
Yeah, like
where it would have the nose would have made the first
where
down.
It should have been anyway.
Right.
Because that's. But anyway.
So we obviously haven't talked. Usually we're watching the game together, and I mean we can kind of tell what each other are thinking during the game. We're talking back and forth, and so when we start this video, we have an idea of. Well, I know how he thought the game went.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been telling you my thoughts, so you know kind of where I'm coming from. I feel like one thing early in this game, and they already were looking kind of sluggish early, and some of the play calls were a little questionable, but one play in my mind really set this game up for failure in the first half. It really just kind of started the snowball rolling. I don't agree with the 3rd and 1 play call before Henry should have never been in that 4th down situation because he should have got that 1st down on 3rd down. Why throw it to Aaron Brewer? Okay, I understand that Mike Vrabel, in his playing days, he was that guy that would come in and have some trickery. He was the extra eligible receiver, and he would go catch the ball. But that's okay. You could do that. Don't try to mix that in situations where it doesn't need to be mixed in. Now, they've had some success doing it on the goal line. It's, last year they did it a couple times. I think they may have even done it this year, having a guy break out open into the end zone. But this guy was covered. And it was not the right play call in the first place.
If the play call works, like if that play call works.
He looks like a genius.
It's genius.
Yeah, right.
If it doesn't work, you look like a dumbass.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it didn't work, so I'm going to hammer on Vrabel for it. Well, and Arthur Smith. I mean, he's the one calling the plays, But,
and I'll get into Arthur Smith a little bit more when we get into this video a little bit deeper. But I agree with. I did not.
This game is just so hard to talk about.
I did not like that play call. He went up, and at first I thought he had caught it, and then it just got knocked out. He dropped it, but like you said, I'm sitting there looking at it like that's really what you're going to call on a 3rd and 1 when you have Derrick Henry in the back. Like, just hand him the ball and let him make something happen.
And then the fumbles started happening.
Well, so we have that turnover on downs.
Right.
And Browns go down. And Byard, I do not know what the hell is going on with you this year. But
get the shit together.
I need you to figure it out because I can't remember who was lined up with Jarvis Landry. I think it may have been Borders.
Borders
we'll
talk about Borders.
I think Borders may have been over on this side, but Baker takes the snap when they go back down, and I think they were still running the zone. Borders had his deep zone, which would have been like the corner of the end zone. Byard was in the middle, and then you had someone, probably Butler, on the other side.
Right.
Or it may have been Vaccaro, just depending on what they were running. But Borders drops back, and again, if it was Butler on this side, I can't remember for sure. But Landry goes to the back of the end zone, cuts in towards the field goal post, and he basically just sits there. And Byard has to be looking around. There was no one to Byard's left. No receivers to his left that should have been holding him there.
Right.
So he should have been reading Baker from the start because whenever Landry made the catch, he wasn't maybe 5-6 yards from Byard. And Baker just fires it in there to Landry for an easy touchdown. And, Byard gets over there late trying to push him out. I'm like, dude, you're looking around. No one is to your left. Watch Baker and just cut on that ball. Like, make a play on the ball.
It's so frustrating with Byard because it's like coming into the season, we were like, it's a given. We're going to have one of the best safeties in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't played that well. And it's honestly to the point now where it's like, what's happened to this guy? Because you don't just go from all-pro to being a scrub. He's not playing well. He's not even playing decent.
And another thing, I've seen this so many times. He would come up to make the tackle. Byard is maybe a little bit bigger than Malcolm Butler. Or they're around the same size.
I think they're relatively close.
Right, but either way, Butler, when he's coming up and hitting these guys, he's not wrapping them up and falling back with them. He's trying to drive through them. Every tackle that I am seeing Byard make, he is coming up, breaking down, waiting on them, wrapping them up, and falling back with them. And I do not understand why he is doing that.
And I don't think Byard has ever really been just a hard hitter. I mean, but he's been a decent tackler at times.
Well, I mean,
and it's just
you can at least stand people up.
Right. It's like something
has
has changed in his mind that has completely changed his ability to cover. It's completely changed his ability to tackle. And honestly, I feel like at this point, the coordinators, the coaches, don't even feel comfortable leaving him out in coverage.
Right. And I will say this. I don't know if it's maybe the scheme that they got going on this year where he's just trying to... I'm not trying to make excuses for him. Like, he's just as much.
Well, you're just trying to figure it out, just like I am, because it's so puzzling. He should be playing good.
I was talking to Carrie about this on our drive home. I said, she's frustrated with him. She's just become a Titans fan this year, and she's frustrated with him right now. And I'm like, imagine how the people who've watched him the past couple years and how amazing he's been,
right?
And then now we're getting this, like. It times it by 10,
right?
Like how you're feeling, and I don't know if it's maybe the scheme, and he's trying to make up for what other guys are doing, and that's causing him to second guess things. But now, because we're kind of going through this drive by drive almost right now.
Yeah.
Then after they score, we come out and see something happen that
doesn't happen often.
And
but it became a theme for this game.
It did.
Not only with Henry, but with everybody. Everybody was fumbling.
And look, it's so crazy. We didn't even watch this game together, but yet us being brothers, we kind of know where each other's mindset is when we're watching these games. And like the fumbles just became a thing, and it's Derrick Henry's first fumble this year.
Okay, after Henry's, I was like, you're going to expect your running back to have some fumbles. Not a lot, but at some point your running back is going to fumble.
This is their 12th game of the season, and this is his first lost fumble.
Well, here's what I'm saying is he's going to cough it up occasionally.
Right.
Now, obviously some running backs make it a habit, but rarely it's going to happen.
Right.
And so when Henry fumbled the first time, I was like, okay, it sucks, but it happens. But then it was just like, and not even him, but anyone, whether it was on catches or whether they already had possession of the ball, they couldn't hold on to it. And it's just time after time after time, and I don't understand what happened to their hands today.
And I will say, one of the fumbles that the Titans did have, A.J. Brown fumbled it, and it was one that they lost. And it was just, they were trying to, I think, get something right before halftime, get some points. And they didn't have any timeouts left. He was trying to make a play and make some people miss.
Yeah.
So that fumble doesn't really, you don't want to see it,
right?
But it doesn't hurt us that much because, you're going into halftime.
Right.
So, but Henry's fumble could not have come at a worse time because
it just added to that snowball.
Well, it let the Browns go up 17-0.
Right.
And they threw the touchdown pass to Kendall Lamb. And I believe that is that not one of their offensive linemen?
Yeah. So it's kind of just like a slap in the face to the Titans. Like, look what we can do.
But then the biggest bright spot of today's game, Corey Davis
is a damn man.
The man, he had a game, and he helped get us on the board first. I was a little concerned on this first touchdown drive that the Titans had because on the play where Davis scored, A.J. Brown got hurt.
Yeah.
And he laid there for a while, and
it was scary.
Ended up going into the tent, and you're like, oh no, because he had just made a hell of a catch.
Well, my first thoughts were pretty bad. Well, maybe not pretty bad, but I mean, decently bad ankle sprain. He might be out for a week or two. Luckily, he was able to come back in, but it was made my heart drop at first.
I agree.
But about Corey Davis, he's been playing so well. I don't see any way that the Titans can not make a play to keep him this offseason.
I have the play in my mind that I think they need to make.
And I've been kind of on the fence about it. Mm-hmm. Even though he's been playing great this season, I've been on the fence about it. But they have something I feel like so special between A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. They have got to do whatever it takes to keep that going.
Right.
Because it is just, it's incredible. I mean, if one of them is not having a game, the other one is. And sometimes they're both having a game. And when that's happening,
there's not much other teams can do.
They can't do anything.
And, I mean, you said it. Corey Davis today, 11 receptions on 12 targets for 182 yards and a touchdown.
He was a fucking beast.
He was.
I mean, they did not have an answer for him.
Me sitting there in the stands watching, the game, I kept saying, "You got Davis. You got Davis." And it was like clockwork. He would be hitting him. And then that touchdown catch he had just went up, grabbed it, got both hands. It was over.
Well,
there was nothing they could do.
It was a heads-up play by him because A.J. Brown was the initial target. And he goes down, and so Tannehill had to buy some time.
Yep, and
Davis
had to work around.
Right, and he gets open, and heads-up play by Tannehill, too. Yep. Put it in a good spot. He went up and got it.
And Tannehill, I'm not going to, yes, second half he was throwing a lot more. I'm not going to say that he had a bad game, and I'm not going to say that he had a great game.
Well, here's my thing about Tannehill. The stats will lie a little bit about Tannehill in this game because majority of the time, he was making a hell of a throw. Mm-hmm. You take the Adam Humphries play, for example. It hits him in the throat, in the chest, wherever you want to say it hit him. But it hit him in a spot where he should have caught it, and he didn't.
And that's what I was going to get into. Tannehill had 389 yards and 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the interception, Humphries, and this was just so you could tell how deflating it was in the stadium because they
were creating some momentum.
Well, and the thing that really helped, Batson had that catch on the sidelines that at first they ruled incomplete.
Challenged and got it overturned.
And
all that good stuff.
Everyone watching the stadium, they show the replay and we're like, all right, no, like, he got that. They overturn it. It's a catch, first down. Next play, Tannehill
disaster.
Hits Humphries right where he should have caught it. And, it'd have been one thing if he would have just dropped it. But bad series of events. He dropped it. It got knocked up. Browns pick it off. I know
that you can't use that one play as a collection of what you think about Adam Humphries. But at that moment was when I for sure decided that he has to go and Davis has to stay.
All right, see, it's crazy how we don't.
It's like, you can't chalk it all up to that moment because earlier in the season, I guess the reason I was on the fence about Davis is because Adam Humphries was playing so well.
Yep.
And he was the guy that was always there, always was, making the catches. He was getting put in spots where he was getting lit up. It got him a concussion eventually, but he was making the plays. But just with the skills that Corey Davis has, and then after seeing Adam Humphries had a bad game today, I'm not trying to overreact from one game, but that was the moment that I was like, you know what? Maybe they let Adam Humphries go and make a move to keep Davis.
All right, here's what I want to get to backtrack just a little bit. So the Titans come out after the half, and they're down 38-7. And even before that, something else I got to hit on. Freaking Borders. he finally had his bad game.
Oh yeah. We knew it was coming.
Today he looked like a practice squad cornerback.
You don't bring a guy from the practice squad and for every single game
expect
him to play as good as he was.
And look,
there's a reason.
Like you mentioned, I don't want to overreact from one game.
Right. I still think Borders is a decent player.
He's been playing really good.
And I think he can have a future with the team.
But I'm sitting there watching this long touchdown play to Donovan Peoples-Jones. And I see Baker roll out. Looks like Jones is just running that out route there. And I see Borders breaking. I'm like, all right, he may have some. And as soon as I see him break, I see Peoples-Jones turn up and oh shit, no. And Baker put it right where it needed to be, in stride, and he was gone. And there was nothing that could be done about it. And then Borders got beat on another touchdown. But to get back to the Titans.
Well, my thing on that play was, because you had a completely different perspective of that play than I did. Because you had the luxury of seeing the whole field,
and I was on the sideline that it happened on.
Right, and the crazy, or not crazy, but the thing about it is you saw what was ahead of him. With the TV cameras, I couldn't see what was ahead of him. So when he caught that, I was like, man, that sucks. Borders got beat, but there's got to be a safety back there, right?
Nope.
and the camera just keeps going. It keeps going, and I'm like, shit, maybe there's not a safety back there.
Nope.
And there was not a safety back there. I confirmed that.
There was no safety to be found.
I confirmed it. No safety. And, that's one of those situations where should have been Kevin Byard, but, obviously that wasn't the play call, and that is where I go back to saying I feel like they're scared to put him back there because he's not making smart plays.
All right, but to get back to the Titans now, coming out after half, they go down the field, score a touchdown. Went for two. Not really sure why they went for two at that point.
Just to tack on extra points, I guess, because they were so far behind.
The thing that got me was the play that they run 4-2. They got the encroachment, only had to get a yard.
Right.
Henry tried to run for it, and Henry, I know you are a big, strong running back, but dude, there comes a time like you cannot run upright. And he was upright on this play. And they hit him in the chest, and it knocked him back. If he lowers his shoulders, he gets in for that 2-point conversion.
It's like sometimes when he's running, he's extremely concerned about his posture. And he's like...
But then, we come out, we get a stop. 3 and out for them. We go down, we score again, which was just so happened to be by a little bit of luck, because Tannehill hits A.J. Brown. He looks like he's fixing to pull a guy into the end zone, and all of a sudden you see the ball fly out.
Yep.
And my hands immediately go to my head, and I'm like, no, this cannot be.
Because that's
his second fumble.
And if what happened afterwards didn't happen, that is dagger. It's over at that point.
But the first touchdown, when they come out of half, was to Pruitt. And who so happens to be there to pick up the loose ball and
Pruitt
fall into the end zone but Pruitt. So, big day for him.
Yeah, big day. And it was a good thing that at least one Pruitt had a good weekend, because Jeremy Pruitt definitely didn't.
No, he did not. But then, Browns come back out, drive down the field, kick a field goal, and you're thinking, okay, we've scored because the Titans got the 2-point conversion. Tannehill went, ran for it to the corner, got it. You're thinking, okay,
finger roll.
I'll trade 14 points for 3 right now. Like, granted, I wish they wouldn't have scored any, but it's better than them scoring 7.
Right.
So then,
and at that point, it's kind of looking like a ball game. Maybe. They still had a long ways to go.
You could feel the energy coming back into the stadium at that point. But then, this next drive was just something that, the whole drive seemed very weird. You have Tannehill trying to go for Swam. Is that how you say it? Swaim.
I think.
Either way, he goes for him. It's a little overthrown, and had it not been for the unsportsmanlike conduct, that would have been Tannehill's first interception.
Yep.
So we got bailed out a little bit there. I mean, it was a penalty. But had the Browns player not done that, interception. Yep. Then we go down, making some things happen, and then we have Arthur Smith, whenever we're getting things rolling in the second half, decides to get cute again and puts Batson in as the quarterback with Tannehill lined up out wide to the left.
Yep.
And he takes the snap and goes to fake the handoff to Henry, drops the ball. It takes him forever to get on it.
I don't even know that he went to fake the handoff to Henry. I don't think he ever had the ball.
He may not have. I mean,
on TV, they show all the replays and stuff. Right. He never had it.
It was so quick when we were watching. And I'm like, why? Like, why are you trying to get cute right here? Do what has been working for you. We're driving down the field. We've just went and scored 2 touchdowns in a row.
We need to see what we can do about making that like a GIF or something.
But then you have Batson catching the conversion on the 4th down. Then, obviously, like we talked about, the interception. And that really didn't help us.
Well, and if you look at the final score, if they continue out that drive and score it there, there's a chance.
There is.
There's a real chance.
And Luke and I were talking about that. How if that play right there, if the interception does not happen and the rest of the game plays out like it does.
Right. Because they still would have been playing the same kind of football.
Well, and that's what I was going to say.
As they were.
If the rest of the game plays out like it did, but that interception doesn't happen and the Titans score a touchdown, that pass to Batson for the touchdown is a game winner.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is, say they do score that drive, there's a damn good chance that everything does play out the same because it really didn't change the style of play that the Titans had to have for the rest of the game. They still would have been taking the chances, all the things that they had to do to try to come back, they still would have been doing those. There's a good chance that things, could have played out the same.
Very much so. And, then it was just kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
Punting the ball. The Titans did end up getting another touchdown they went for it, and I believe the touchdown that they got that did put them to 28 was McNichols.
Yeah.
Right. And by that time, Henry was already out of the game.
Well, at that point,
they were down. And
you just don't want to get Henry hurt.
Well, here's the thing. They have to they have to fix their defense somehow. Because when we're getting down like this, it's taking us out of our play style. Like, yes, we started to come back, and yes, Henry was in for most of the 3rd quarter and part of the 4th quarter. But we cannot have our best player on the sidelines.
Right.
I mean, that does us no good. Because, the Browns, they started backing up. Like, they knew the situation we were getting into.
Yeah.
And, like we talked about, the score doesn't really reflect how this game was. First half, I'm sitting there looking at it like, okay, we've talked all this shit about how we're going to do to the Browns this year.
They're doing it to
what we done to us. And now they're doing it to us.
I was literally thinking that like at halftime.
Yeah.
I was thinking I remember Tyler saying, we're going to repeat against the Browns, and, it's kind of like they're doing the same thing to the Titans.
I was, like I said, I was thinking the same thing at halftime too. Like, this is not looking good. I didn't give up hope because I was like, if they come out, play better in the second half. And again, it goes back to they played bad going back to the Pittsburgh game. They played bad in the first half against Pittsburgh, and we're down. Yeah. And they come out in the second half, played a lot better. And
with all the mistakes they had in the first half, I think the second half was a better kind of telltale sign. I think the Titans are a better team than the Browns. I think they're a much better team. I just think they made way too many mistakes to win the game.
I agree, and I will say that the Browns are a little bit better than I was giving them credit for.
Right.
Not that I was overlooking them or saying that they weren't a true 8-3 team.
That I had a bad take because I used the F word in regards to the Browns.
That was me.
No, I called him a fraud.
Oh, you call him a fraud. Sorry, I was thinking back to...
I called him a fraud because I didn't think honestly, I didn't really think they had beat anybody. And now they beat somebody. They beat the Titans, which is sometimes the Titans can be as bad as any team in the NFL. But I don't know. I expected things to happen a lot differently in this game, and it was disappointing.
It was, and we kind of went about this reaction video a little bit different than most of our others. I mean, we dove more into the actual, like, each drive, just because.
Well, we went into how the game played out because it was so important in this game.
Because if someone just looks at the score of this game, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, that was a hell of a game."
Yeah.
When, for the most part,
it was two completely different games.
Exactly.
It was
the first half and
you're right.
The first half and second half were two different games,
right?
Basically. And if the Titans could have come out and played the first half like they did the second half, shoulda, coulda, woulda,
right?
But it would have been probably a lot closer, at least for most of the game. I'm not going to say
they were still making some of the same mistakes in the second half.
I had mentioned Batson though, and besides that one snap on that play call, he had a pretty decent game himself. I mean, it's not like he went off for a lot of yards or anything like that. But that last touchdown that the Titans got, we're sitting there looking at it, and it's not really the guy that you expect the Titans to go to. Like, you think, okay, they're going to try and throw it up to AJ or Corey, have them moss someone, and Batson right at the front of the end zone goes up, catches it. I'm sitting there talking to Luke at the time. I'm like, yeah, he got it, and Luke thought he only got 1 foot in. But then you look, nope, just both feet same time, boop, and he's then it's like, okay, like, at this point you're thinking, if by some chance they get this onside kick, they have like.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Like, you're thinking, okay, if they get this onside kick, they probably got 3 plays to try and make something happen. And I mean, they're going for the end zone,
right?
And we talked about it. Being at the game, and there was several times where Tannehill was under pressure quite a bit. He got sacked 3 times. The Titans had 0 sacks on the day, which they should have had a couple, but Baker threw out of one. A couple of things. It's been a long day for me.
I mean, if you think about it, if we could take all the money that the Titans put into Vic Beasley and Jadeveon Clowney, which is now just, they might as well just be shoveling into a furnace. I mean, maybe that money could bring a better pass rush than those 2 guys brought.
It possibly could. And Myles Garrett, though, the point I was getting to, even though Tannehill was sacked 3 times and there was a lot of pressure on him and he had to escape the pocket, Myles Garrett wasn't maybe as big of a factor or a disruptor as I thought he was going to be.
He made a big impact in the run game.
And that's what I was about to say. There's watching the game on TV, you get to see these replays more than I do. And, when I was there, and I just see a lot of big bodies going together. And
I was looking for it because I had mentioned it in the podcast, the preview, all that. I was like, I think that Myles Garrett is going to be a factor in the run game. I know everybody, kind of sees him as, this dominant pass rusher, and he is. And he was getting some pressure today, but he's a great run defender, in my opinion. And I think he was a pretty big factor in the run game today. And not that they really had much of a run game going.
Another thing I want to mention, I've had someone asking us questions on our Twitter, and I just want to. They asked me if I thought when Adoree comes back, if that's going to make a big difference and help us go deeper into the playoffs. And here's my honest take on it. I don't know that one player is going to make that much of a difference. And here's why. With the scheme that is being run right now, if quarterbacks are not getting the ball out quick and in like 2.1 seconds, then, like, if we're not giving that up to them, they're carving up our zones like crazy because our pass rush is not getting to them.
Right.
And our guys in the secondary can only cover so long. And I know it's give and take on both of them. But because we thought whenever we added Desmond King that was going to help our pass rush a lot, because we would be able to defend longer.
Right.
And even Borders, the way he's been playing. And if you look at how the Titans have played in a couple games since adding him, there's times where our secondary their coverage is good enough for long enough that our pass rush is getting there.
Right.
But today, our pass rush just was not getting there. And if we go up against some of these good teams that have really good offensive linemen and we cannot generate any pass rush, I mean, you can't ask just too much more of your secondary. That being said, there were times where, being at the game, I actually got to see this. Our guys were dropping back in their zones and just letting the Browns receivers turn right in front of them in that zone and catch the ball before they ever drove on them. And they're backpedaling in their zone, and they're literally, like I said, they're watching them turn and just catch it instead of going down and hitting them right as the ball is getting there.
I think Adoree could help. For one thing, what I'm hoping, and I know this is hoping for a long shot, but I'm hoping that if Adoree were to come back, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if Adoree were to come back, maybe that changes Kevin Byard's mindset a little bit. And I don't know if he thinks he's got too much pressure on himself right now or what, but maybe that takes some pressure off him or whatever is going on. Maybe that changes something and we start to see the good Kevin Byard.
We could. I just, like I said, as far as one player goes, I don't know that it's going to make.
But if you have Adoree and an improved Kevin Byard, he starts playing at a high level. That changes a lot of things, I feel like.
It could. And I know we're jumping around a lot right now, but I want to go back to what we were talking about. When we talked about this Cleveland defense and their run defense, I said that they ranked in the top half of the league in stopping the run. And you mentioned how the last couple games they've been giving up, 4.8 yards per carry. 4.7. How they were giving that up. And, last couple games before this one, I think they were without Myles Garrett.
They were.
And obviously that makes a huge difference. Henry had 60 yards today on, let me look at this right quick. 60 yards on 15 carries. So, he was averaging 4 yards a carry, but it's still not the kind of day we need from him.
Well, and I think had they never went down by so much, it might have been different in the run game because he might have actually been able to get some momentum going, tire the defense down a little bit, and break some longer runs. But he just never got a chance to do that.
You're right. And, the Browns come out, smacked us in the mouth in the first half. And
everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And they gave us the 1-2 Mayweather, 3-4 McGregor right out of the gates in the first half.
I told Luke that after watching that first half and seeing how the Titans were able to come back and only lose by 6, I was like, maybe they were just playing the game of, hey, let's see how much we can get down by and actually come back and win.
Yeah.
And I do not like that game plan at all. But end of the day, Titans are still 8-4, which I can't be mad at that. It could be a lot worse.
As long as they finish better than 9-7.
Yeah.
Let's just hope for that.
Hope for better than 9-7
and win the AFC South. Just win the AFC South and all's good.
I'm not sure how tiebreakers break down right now. The Colts did beat the Texans today.
Well, the Titans,
but the Colts still have 2 losses in the AFC South, and the Titans only have 1.
I believe that gives the Titans the edge.
So I believe the Titans are still sitting at first in the AFC South.
Right.
Have a huge game next week. They have to go down to Jacksonville and beat the Jaguars.
I agree.
If they can do that, we keep we keep first place in the AFC South.
Right.
And that's what it's all about right now. Right now we need to keep that going.
Right.
And look, just to jump back to something else for a minute, looks like 2,000 yards may not be happening for Derrick Henry unless next 4 weeks.
You know, he's prone to do things against Jacksonville.
Well, and
he's known to be a bad man.
Like I've mentioned, in the next 4 weeks, they play 3 teams that are in the bottom 5 of the league in rush defense. So
if he can go for 200,
if he were to
against
say
2 of those teams,
again, you got to get out of my damn head here because I actually said this on the way home. If he goes for 200 against the Jags and the Texans, he would probably only need around 150 against the Lions and the Packers.
It's a lot to ask for.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask.
But we can sit here and hope for it. All in all, this game, you don't ever want to have this game script ever again. As close as it looked at the end, if you just look at the score, you don't ever want to have that. Throw the film away. Get rid of it. Throw any memory of this game away. They're not an AFC South team. Just forget about the whole thing. Just fresh slate. Rest of the season. Go out, win games, and make the playoffs.
Regroup, refocus. We're on to the Jaguars. Gotta make something happen against them. No need to look back at this game. Maybe look back at. I know you say throw the film out, but look back and see some things. No,
throw it out.
No, you got to look back and see some things you can improve.
You actually don't. You don't have to.
If you don't look back,
you actually don't have to.
All right, we're gonna agree to disagree.
You don't.
Here.
You don't even have to think about that game again.
Anyway, I want to get back to talking about Corey Davis.
How long are you gonna make this?
Just calm down a minute now. I want to hit on Corey Davis because you said earlier that you would like to keep him and possibly get rid of Humphreys, and you're not just basing it off of this game. I'm not basing it just off this game either. Corey Davis has been playing at a high level this year.
Right.
And he's been healthy. So if this is what healthy Corey Davis looks like and he can stay healthy.
Yeah, because he had that thing last year where he was like, had turf toe or whatever.
So, but if he can stay healthy, the 1-2 punch of him and A.J. Brown is just, it's great.
It'd be expensive. But they're giving a lot of money to Adam Humphreys right now.
Adam Humphreys has been good this year. It wasn't that good today. He's been reliable, everything else. But if it comes down to it for me, I could see the argument to cut Humphreys this next offseason and put that money towards keeping Corey Davis.
I agree. I believe that's all we got for this video.
I think so.
Make sure that you're checking us out on social media, interacting, all of that stuff. Give us the retweets, likes, whatever. Follow, like the page, all that good stuff that you can do on social media. And that helps us out. On Twitter, it's Titans_time. On Instagram, Titans Time Podcast. Our podcast, make sure that you're checking it out as well. We do game previews, things like that. It is Titans Time. And what am I missing?
And all those apps will be popping up on the screen.
Whichever one you want to use to listen to podcasts, you can find us on there. It'll be Titans Time. Search us up, subscribe, anything that you can do on there, whatever. If you can review us, if you can, whatever you can do.
All of them are comments and questions.
Right, all of them are so much different. And then on Facebook, it's Titans Time. Is that right?
Titans Time.
I forgot about it for a minute.
And our website.
TitansTimePodcast.com.
Guys, you're on the YouTube right now, so if you haven't already, make sure you go down and subscribe and turn on the post notifications. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers.
Just forget our goal. We need to get a whiteboard back here.
Yeah.
Write our goal out.
We're trying to hit 200 subscribers before the end of December. We're at like 133 right now, so if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Like I said, turn on the post notifications, like the video, share the video, and leave us some comments. Browns fans, if you are watching this video and you've made it this far, we know that you're probably going to be coming at us, and I mean you've earned the right to talk shit to us after this game.
Tyler will lay down and take it.
No, you've earned the right. I will still talk shit back to you, but we got to eat crow because we did say that the Titans were going to win this game.
Yep. And I was very confident in that.
I was too.
But hey, at the end of the day, this has been Titans time. And as always, tighten up.